So Ken, no pressure. Elliott is like the absolute expert with sound.
Oh, cool.
Some people might say that. That's a bit much.
Dude,
but
you definitely are. So tell us about. Are we wrong?
Yeah.
I want to get into some of your background just
Okay.
because I think that's super cool, and then we can get into your business.
Okay.
But so you are like the sound engineer, or were? How does all that work?
Okay, so when you have bands that go out and do stadiums and arenas, you have a large crew. To give you an example, like the Justin Timberlake tour, just the audio crew alone has 12 people.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, so...
And those aren't the guys setting it up. Those are the guys that are like running the. Are they actually doing the setup too?
They're doing the setup. I think we had like a few guys to do just the stage stuff, all the microphones, all the patching on stage, but then you have 4 dedicated people just for the PA system.
Oh wow!
And then you have people that need to design that system. And eventually what I did was you go into the room and you scan the inside contours of the venue and you put that in the computer system. And then based on the inside contours, the tiers of all the seating, you, in the program, you design the curvature of the sound system to make, essentially you want the people in the first row to have the same experience as people 350 feet in the back.
So the scan basically, does it simulate kind of what a sound wave will do?
Yes.
So that's what. So you scan it. It sees kind of, all right, this is where this is going to sound. This is where the sound's going to travel.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in there, and then that kind of helps you determine where direction, how many speakers, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. You can adjust all those parameters, and essentially you're trying to make it as smooth as possible. So if we're talking about just 2 columns of speakers like this, that's relatively simple.
Yeah.
But then when you have like a 360 arena and you have like 12 different hangs, all the contours are different every angle, so it's it can be quite involved. And then you give those measurements and those angles to your crew and say, hey guys, like this one speaker hang is going to be like this and this and this, and you give them all the details. And then they go and then they put it up.
And they hang it.
And that's all they have to do all day is...
All day, every day. Hang it, take
Morning,
it down.
And then take it down. Of course, at the end of the night, then you got to do the reverse, right?
And then you go to the next city.
And you do it again and again and again. Yeah, that's right.
It's hard to do that when you're super hungover, too.
No, it's the worst. Yeah.
So when you're touring with, like, is it okay if we say some of the bands that
Yeah.
So you just got back from Europe with Sheryl Crow on Sheryl Crow's tour.
Yes.
So that was a six week tour for you?
Yeah, about that.
Okay. So they call you up, and at this point in your life, you're doing it kind of part-time or on a contract basis.
Yeah, so technically I had retired from that, from Claire Global, the company I worked for, in 2020.
Okay.
After COVID.
Yep.
But they know that I'm starting knockout home inspections, or have started it, and I just don't want to be gone for months at a time anymore.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, I still like working with everyone, I still enjoy the job, but at this point in my life, I don't want to be gone for more than a few days at a time. And they knew that, and so when the Sheryl Crow gig came up, she only did, 1 weekend every couple weeks, so that I could fit
nice.
that in and still do full-time home inspections.
Oh, cool. So it could be an actual gig, side gig for you.
Mm-hmm.
What was the determining factor for you to go from, because I think you did Grad Event Fleet too.
Yep.
So at that point, you were doing it full time, which meant you were probably on the road. Out of a month, 20 days, 25 days, 15 days out of the month, or months on end.
Yeah, back then, I'll tell you what. I finally had bought a house at one point, and I was super excited and said, hey, let's go get a brand new mattress because I'm tired as hell. So I went out to the store. I bought the best mattress I could get.
I'm going to get so much sleep on this.
That year, 8 nights I got to sleep in that
That
bed.
year?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, bro.
8 glorious nights.
Yeah, dude. So.
$2,000 later.
Yeah, you're right.
Fuck.
That was exceptional at that time, but
Yeah.
I think most...
Who was that tour with?
Ooh, that time? Oh, God. I don't even know. That could have been the start of Timberlake, because that one I remember the first time that I went out. I just finished the tour, and they called me up and said, "Hey, you're gonna go home, pack your suitcase, and they're gonna be gone for 5 months." That was the first one. I was like, "Oh man!" So I think it was during that time where I just got done a full tour.
Right.
I had one day, one travel day, packed my bags again, and went out for that other 5 months. So it was like,
My God, dude.
yeah, man.
How long? Obviously, that was an exceptional year, but how long did you do this full time?
Since 2010.
So you did it full time for 10 years. 10 to
Yes.
20.
Yeah, about like 12, I would say.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah, I can't believe that I used to do that.
Yeah.
I look back like,
exhausting.
yeah, every day living on a bus with 11 other gross roadie looking dudes. Yeah, it's just the appeal is not there as much as it was when you're 20.
Oh, big time, dude. Yeah, you get in your 30s, you're like, okay, I don't know
Yeah,
if
it's
I
like
can do this
nah,
anymore.
I gotta grow up or something.
Yeah. Keeps pulling you back though.
And yeah, well, the pay's there. The pay's
that's
there.
nice.
Yeah, the pay's good, and it is. If you do it in little bits at a time, then it's fun.
It's so exciting then.
Because I still get my travel kicks.
Yeah.
Because I would come home and I would miss traveling a lot.
Right.
So this is just like Cheryl's for me has been just like a little taste of traveling.
Perfect amount.
Yeah, just a little bit here and there.
Yeah. Otherwise, I can imagine you getting very bored. Going from 10 years of that.
Yeah, you see.
Maybe you like it though. I mean, it's a good change of pace.
It's probably a healthier change of pace, but it gets boring. I see the same.
Yeah.
Just like entering the same door in my house every day, the same car, the same thing. It's just like
B&I on Thursday.
Yeah. Compared to getting hammered all over Europe and like living this wild concert rock star life, it's like, oh man, it's kind of it's boring.
Yeah, dude. So when you're touring with those guys, and we'll get into home inspections, I promise. But this is just so interesting to me. So how did you get to like hang with the bands or meet the performers or anything like that?
Yeah, generally if you're in close proximity to them, which you like always are, yeah, you always want to be very professional and of course always introduce yourself. However, a really good way to get fired is to get close with the band members. I've seen it happen where if you make like say, oh yeah, like I love Trump or something.
Yeah.
And like that artist doesn't. It's like you
You're
might get
done.
a plane ticket home the next day. There's
Damn.
You make a bad joke that they got offended by or whatever. It's like next thing you know,
You're done.
you're out of there. So you don't want to get too close to the band member.
Right.
Always be nice. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you. And you do that for years. You do get to know them eventually, but
Right.
But you try to keep your distance and
There's very much a working kind of relationship there.
Yeah. You have to keep it very professional. Let management take care of the artists.
Right.
You're there to strictly do the speakers, do the sound, hook them up with like their ears and their any of like the electronics that they use, and you keep it to that.
Right on.
Yeah.
How did you get into this?
I started working in a studio during high school,
Okay.
and that kind of piqued my interest. And at the time, I didn't really know that there was a live sound industry, that it was like a legit career path.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I had just no idea at the time. And I had went to Belmont to do the audio program, and they had some live sound classes. And that, I remember sitting in whatever class it was, learning about microphones and how they work, and I was like, damn, like you can learn this in school, like this is freaking awesome.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, they learn about like how they work and like all the consoles and stuff. I was like, that is sick. So I really enjoyed it, and we had a small audio company at Belmont that like 5 of us students ran, and I think the college had given us some money to like, I don't think we started it, but we like took over the
program of the business, what it was.
So when they had like various concerts or like events on campus, they would call us and hire us to do, if they got like a couple thousand people and like, some party out in the yard, and they would call us up.
Y'all do the sound.
Us. Yeah, we had a box truck and everything. And
so that's really how you cut your teeth on figuring out
yeah
how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, well, we had like legit speaker systems and consoles, and yeah.
So Belmont really hooked it up there.
Yeah, that was awesome. And they have a good connection with Claire Global, which is the largest audio company in the world. So when they have concerts at their arena, a lot of times they would hire Claire. So we'd be working the concerts, and we would have these guys who just got off the road, the guys that we really respected, come and do the concerts, and we'd talk to them like, hey, what's it like out on the road? And they would like show us how the real world works in terms of audio and how they set up a arena system. And because of those connections, I was able to get an interview and get hired eventually.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
So you got a job right out of college with Claire.
Yeah. So I had a lot more energy back then. So I
years on the road.
Yeah.
You're a road dog, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I had started working part-time for Claire as an intern. I would clock in maybe like 3 days a week, I think, my senior year of college.
Oh, cool.
And then as soon as I graduated, I think a couple weeks after, they called me up and be like, time to move up to Pennsylvania for a year. Because you have to do a job training up at their world headquarters in Pennsylvania. Yeah.
So you moved up there once you graduated, did the training?
Short notice, just got done college, had like no money.
Yep.
Packed my Volvo 240.
Hell yeah.
Filled with like my computer, monitor, a couple speakers, like clothing, and like that was it. Just went up there and got an apartment. Yeah.
So, okay, so let's talk about, well, real quick before we move into your business. Rattle off some of the bands that you over the years, just so I know, just so everybody knows that you're legit.
Because you wouldn't know just by looking at it.
Everybody's, this guy's full of shit.
Yeah, let me see. Well, I did Kiss, Motley Crue, the Scorpions. Rock You Like a Hurricane.
Yeah.
Those German guys, they drank a lot of beer. Greta Van Fleet I had done. Tim McGraw I had done. Florida Georgia Line for like 4.5 years. That was ridiculous. A lot of beer drinking out there. My first tour was actually Sugarland when that stage collapsed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was my first gig. And then
obviously Sheryl Crow.
Yeah, Sheryl Crow, Jay-Z. Jay-Z was a big one. Justin Timberlake. That was probably, in terms of like how many trucks they have, that was probably huge. I think we started with like 34 trucks on that one.
And dude, that's a cool glimpse, because I'm guilty. I bitch about the price of concert tickets all the time. But when you look behind the scenes, you're like, there's 34 trucks.
They're
just for the sound.
No, not for the sound. Sound would have like 2 or 3 trucks.
Okay, so the whole tour is okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, the production.
Gotcha.
Yeah, something like that. Just like one day, just the fuel costs for like all the buses and all the trucks. Because you say 34 trucks and then what, like 12 crew buses for like the band and crew for the tour. That alone is a massive amount of money.
Right.
Just to like refuel your trucks. You can't just say, hey, guys, we're stopping for fuel tonight, and have 30 trucks show up at a gas station at the same time. All that, you got to have a manager for all that and get it planned out, and like what the drivers do during the day. Like just the trucking logistics is a massive undertaking.
So if you're the tour manager, you're in charge of all that. I mean, obviously you probably have some structure underneath.
Of course. But essentially, you have
that's incredible.
Tour manager, and then you would have some kind of trucking manager.
What was
a lead driver?
Yeah. Okay.
Who controls everything? But
kind of control of like the fleet or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Last question, promise on this. Now,
so you ask as much as you want.
Out of those, what was your favorite, or what was kind of the most fun, or the most interesting, or the one that you kind of remember the most? You're going through a bunch of inappropriate stories.
Yeah. There's a lot of really rowdy snapshots that just went through my mind.
I wish, dude.
Oh man.
I wish we could just see them floating over your head.
No, you do not.
Oh, I do.
There's definitely some naked ones of me in there, hammered drunk.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it might have been. Honestly, it might have been Florida Georgia Line, just because the crew at the time was all young and the band was young, and they had just put out the song "Cruise," which was their
big one.
Yeah, their biggest one.
Yeah.
So everyone was super excited to like just be getting the success and a new young crew. It was just a lot of partying, beer drinking. How old were we back?
Mid-20s?
Yeah, like 25, I think.
Dude, mid-20s on tour with, Florida Georgia Line.
Yeah.
In, what was that, 2010s? Early 2011, 12 time frame?
Yeah.
Probably.
You must be a big fan because you're getting these numbers right.
I'm really not.
Yeah.
I was not a... Here's what I liked about their music is, like, there was no denying it was catchy. There's no denying that.
Yeah, I think the first album, I don't know how many tracks there were on that, but I remember hearing it was something like 10 out of 13 got a #1 spot. And so it's very, very catchy. The Tyler and BK, great guys.
Really?
So, yeah, that was one of the few bands where they would actually come up like to the crew and like talk to us. Hey, Elliott, man, how's your family doing? What's going on? Like, and I actually did their last tour, which was like a few years ago. And from back in those days, I still remember he came up, gave me a big hug, and
no kidding.
It's like talking about Harleys and stuff, and remembering some of the old fun times.
So they're good dudes.
Yeah, 100%. That's what some people that don't like the band, like, they don't. I wish that they could see how well they treated the crew. Yeah,
that's awesome.
So, it was a very good family party.
Right time of life. Crew was young.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The music was really popular.
Yeah,
that's the recipe for a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I think, 4.5 years was I was out with.
Wow, that's incredible, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 2020.
Yes.
And you're making the transition.
Yep.
Talk us through why the transition. Was it because of COVID, or were you kind of like, all right, this is a perfect time and excuse to make this transition because I'm getting a little tired, or what was it?
Right. So I had been traveling so much the last few years up until COVID that I was getting pretty crispy out there again.
Yeah.
I was pretty burned out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd always thought, like, man, what are you going to do when you get off the road?
Yeah.
Like, what skills, how can you apply the skills that you learn that are very, very specific to something else? And one of my criteria were I needed a job where I could make my own schedule. I wasn't going to go and clock in and clock out of a job. So that being said, I was able to use kind of my technical mindset and decided to do home inspections because I was somewhat familiar with the mechanics of home and how all the systems work. So that being said, that transition was kind of easy when COVID happened because I used that as a catalyst to start a new lifestyle for myself. And I wanted a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
To not be gone and partying all the time nonstop. So I think I made a good choice and made that transition.
Timing was right. It was a great opportunity. I mean, touring stopped. So you're like,
that was a dead stop.
Yeah.
They fell like dominoes. March 13th, I remember I was driving in my car and all my buddies were calling each other and be like, yo, did you hear this tour got canceled? Oh, dude, you still got work? And then calling back and forth the whole day. Everyone's tour got canceled by the end of the day.
So the next day, March 14th, there was no job.
No, none.
Oh my gosh, dude! So
we're all just like, dude, what are we gonna do? Yeah, everyone was freaking out for sure.
Did anybody kind of stick around and wait? Any of your buddies?
Yeah, a few of them did. But after a few months, I was like, okay, this, because at the time we didn't know how long. Right?
Yeah, right.
So when it first came on, I was like, you know what, I could use a break for a while.
Yeah.
But then after a few months, 6 months, 8 months, and I was like, guys, I don't think concerts are coming back anytime soon. We gotta we got to move on.
Yeah.
And I already had
Started
that process. And a lot of people did the same thing. I mean, of course, everyone's got to work.
Yeah, so they had to find something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk home inspections, dude. What's well, let's start at starting the business, because I think that's always a really cool conversation for future entrepreneurs out there that are thinking, but they want to do it, they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, what was your kind of first steps after you said, all right, home inspections, I have this knowledge, I can get better at this, I know these systems, this makes sense for me. What was your next step after, you know, doing all the admin stuff to starting the business?
I would say for people looking to start their own business, it's not as difficult to get the process started as you think.
Yeah.
The hurdles that you have to go through is just minor, like you said, minor administrative paperwork. Go down to Metro, fill out some forms, and then technically you have that business. Start slow in the process. Things like a website, like that. You need those things, of course, and you'll get them done. But if you list out like maybe 5 things, like a website, register the business, get a tax guy, and then for me, I had to deal with the licensing of being a home inspector before I can actually do business, right? So if you break it down into small, like maybe like 7 items you got to do.
It's much more palatable.
Yeah,
bite-sized things. It's not as daunting.
Absolutely. Because when you say it, you're like starting a business. It's like overwhelming. You got a billion things all at once, and you're just like, I don't know what to do. Yeah. Like write it down. Start. There's nothing really difficult. It's just small bits of paperwork and
knock out the task. I think people, like you say, people go, I'm starting a business, and then a lot of people who would love to do it just think that sounds like a lot of stuff I don't know how to do.
Yeah, it's a daunting task.
Yeah, but just like you're saying, dip your toe. Figure one thing out at a time. Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have to have all of this complete in one day or even 1 month or 6 months, right? As long as you're legal, like you're saying, you have the license to do whatever your business is. Everything else is kind of just like gravy, you know? Just make sure you're doing things right and legal.
Yeah, it'll fall into place. Yeah. Just give it some time. That's good advice as well.
So what about customers? I think that's another worry that people have. How did you go about finding your first couple customers?
Bro, I don't know. I got to use the bathroom real quick.
How did I find customers? Your phone's
how
like, I don't know. How did
inspectors
you
find clients?
How do home inspectors find clients?
I think well, at the time, I didn't know any real estate agents. Yeah. I think I reached out to, everyone that I knew on like Instagram, Facebook, and I had like a couple friends of friends that just happened to be agents.
Yep.
Which was very difficult because I would go to an agent and be like, hey, stop using the home inspector that you've been working with for the last 5 years and love. Use me, a random new guy who just got his license. Yeah. Probably doesn't know what he's doing.
Yep.
Come on, switch over to me instead.
Right.
That's a hard pitch, man.
Is that appealing?
I don't know what the hell happened, but it worked.
It's probably a numbers game, right? I mean, if you do that 100 times, somebody's going to bite.
Yeah, where I was able to wedge myself in was with new agents because they don't have those relationships with the home inspectors. Right. So if you get someone that just got their license a few months ago, and they probably haven't even done a transaction yet.
Yeah.
They see you as a new home inspector that y'all are in the same boat, like new in the real estate industry. So I found that the newer agents were more apt to be willing to try me out.
Nice.
Yeah.
And was that like networking groups, cold calls? It sounds like, which is a really common trend when we ask this question to any business owner, which you just dug into your network first. Talk to your friends, family. This is what I'm doing.
That's all it was. It was only friends network. Because I didn't have any business contacts at all.
Yeah, you'd been partying for 10 years.
Yeah, nonstop.
You call your buddies like, hey, they're like, what?
I still am.
Just on the weekends type thing. Yeah. And then you dug into, where we met was BNI. A local networking group meant for getting referrals in business.
Yeah, and that certainly helped out a lot.
Yeah.
One of my buddies, who's a plumber, he used to be in a BNI chapter up in Oregon, and he said, "Man, you got to go." And I looked it up, and I was like, "I don't know if this is for me.
Yeah.
This is cheesy."
It's a
Going
culty.
to a group like, "Hey, I'm a home inspector." Like I was like, dude, I'm not gonna do that."
Yeah.
But I forced myself to go, and then I realized after meeting everyone that they're actually cool dudes and women that are actually pretty normal, and they just want to make more business, do more business.
They're doing the same thing you are.
Yeah, it wasn't as cheesy as I thought it was going to be.
Right.
So then I was like, yeah, all right, sign me up. So that did help. I would highly recommend that. But yeah, you got to go out and network.
Yeah.
Especially in the beginning, I was doing a lot of one-to-ones.
Right.
Even if it was a friend of a friend of a friend
Yep.
who was an agent, call them up. Like, hey, can you spare 30 minutes Tuesday morning to go grab coffee? Or something small like that. I was doing that, like, maybe not every day, but at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
You know, which can be tough, but if you force yourself to put it in your schedule and make it happen, it will pay off eventually.
It's a time commitment, but at the beginning, that's all you got.
Yeah, right.
You got the time.
That's all you have, so
Yeah.
you gotta work.
Might as well use it and fill it up with possible opportunities to talk to somebody who can give you some business. The thing I learned about that too is when I was in like the first year of the restoration business, I would set these meetings with people that I thought would never be a good referral partner.
Right.
And I'd be going to them like, why am I wasting my time here? You know.
Sure.
Then you sit down, you start talking to them, and you realize their husband is this, and they know this guy, and they're in charge of all the maintenance in Nashville, and you're like, oh, you know. So my advice to that is like, just schedule it at the beginning. Take the time that you have during the day because you don't have clients.
Yeah, right.
And just go talk to everybody you can.
Yeah.
Because you never know kind of what connection there is going to happen or who they can introduce you to.
Was there some certain connections that you had that paid off in particular, or was it more like BNI?
Yeah, so BNI was huge for us. I mean, I told anybody who's getting into any of the home services, I recommend BNI at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just because it's great for the trades. Everybody needs a trusted one.
And your connection was it the insurance?
Insurance are great referral partners.
Yeah.
So that, but then R&S Flooring was like,
yeah, sure.
who brought us in to that group. And then they provided, I mean, a ton of business back and forth, right? Because when we go into a house and there was a flood, we had to rip all the floors up, we'd send them straight to Ray, and then Ray would take care of them. So
Gotcha.
it was a really great partnership there. And a lot of people, when they have like let's say their refrigerator leaks and their flooring gets a little cupped or whatever, they'll call their flooring company.
Right.
But they can't do anything until it's dry.
Sure.
So then Ray will be like,
I see.
send them out there, we'll dry it, and then they come in, resand, refinish, and do all that
So
stuff.
quite the symbiotic relationship then.
Yeah, and that was a surprise to me. You know, I didn't think that it was going to be like that, but it definitely was super, super useful for us.
Okay.
Yeah. And then insurance agents obviously were great. I mean, especially that's what Trent did, was just not door to door. Well, yeah, business door to door, but I mean, it was like go in, basically just make a friend. Because we know they're going to need us at some point, and we know that they refer people right now.
Sure.
So if we can become their friend, we'll get that referral the next time.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a longer play, but that was a consistent thing, and that's when I realized I needed to make the hire because that takes 40 hours a week because you have to be so consistent with it.
Yes.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about making a hire?
No, not right now. I have a lot of renovation projects I'm always working on
your properties?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So having like 1 or 2 days off during the week, that I can either go on tour with or do product. I have a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So
yeah. All right. So let me ask you one final question.
Yeah.
From the homeowner side.
Sure.
What's the number one mistake that you see homeowners make with either purchasing a home, so we can go that route, or what's the most common issue that you find on home inspection reports that homeowners can make the correction now so it's not a problem when they sell their house.
What was the question?
Yeah. Say it again, right in the front. Hey Siri, what's? All right, so let's do this. What's your favorite color? All right, so what's the number one issue you see on home inspection reports?
The number one issue. Now, are we talking about? Well, I'll say this. Generally, the most expensive part of a home is the roof. And, of course, most people are concerned, of course, how much things are going to cost, right? The repairs. People don't realize often that you have, say, 10 of the major systems in your home, like your electrical, your plumbing, your HVAC, your roof, your crawl space, interior, all your siding, right? All those systems of the home are deteriorating, and they have different lifespans. So when you go buy a used home, each of those systems is at a different stage in their life, and you're going to have to budget to make those repairs. They are going to break down eventually. And even when I see a lot of new couples, they buy a used home, and they're super excited to get in, and then they get in, and then they don't do any repairs or upkeep or maintenance for a few years because they think, I just got the home. I don't have to do anything. Well, there's a lot of places in the home that you're not looking at, like your plumbing, your crawl space. Those things aren't new. It might look new inside. Your bedroom might be new. The kitchen might be new. But your attic, your roof, your crawl space, everything inside is not new at all. And you might have some serious problems. And especially for a new couple who doesn't know much about homeownership at the time. Like mold, a remediation in basement, that can be financially crippling to someone. So it's important to stay on top of it. And I guarantee you, if you stay on top of it, you will save your money in the long run for sure.
So
I know that was a long answer, but so generally I would say just keep in mind that all the systems are at different ages of their lifespan, and it's very important to budget for repairs and have a home inspection and know what you're going to have to face down the road. How
often should somebody get a home inspection?
I would recommend every few years.
Yeah. It gives you not a rubric, a blueprint.
Yes.
For like, hey, this is where you're at over the next couple of years. These are the things that you should start to think about.
Say if you're gonna need like new siding, for example, you want to know that years in advance. You don't want to find out that you need new siding and then have a month to fix it. Otherwise, you're gonna have a lot more problems.
Right.
Or say, oh man, you know what? A new roof could be, $15,000. Well, you don't want to find that out when you need to get that. You want to find that out 5 years ahead of time so you can start saving.
Yep. Yeah. So my advice for that is, for those homeowners, go onto the MyHome app, find knockout home inspections, and just get an inspection every couple of years.
Yeah.
It gives you that kind of warm and fuzzy to know, like, I don't know what I need to be thinking about or worrying about. This is going to tell you.
I get a lot of people that ask questions about financing, budget. Hey, like when do I have to repair this? When do I need to think about plumbing? I do offer a home maintenance inspection.
Nice.
For a discounted price.
Oh, cool.
I'll go over all that with someone. It takes like an hour for me to go through the home and get a basic idea of all the major systems.
Yeah.
And talk with the client about, their budgeting and not the specifics of their budget, of course, but
hey, this
what to watch out for.
Right. Mm-hmm. They say financial advisors recommend, based on previous spending on maintenance, 1 to 4% of your home's value annually is what you should budget for maintenance.
Okay. I can see that.
In Nashville,
that's a lot.
It's about $9,000, $10,000 a year on maintenance.
That's actually a really good tip. I should put that out there for sure. Most people, they do not do that.
Nope. Exactly.
If you upkeep a home like you're supposed to, you're right.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit.
Yeah, it is. And but like to your point, that's going to save you tens and thousands of dollars in repairs when something fails.
if you find that leak, or if you if I go down and there's no vapor barrier, it's like, hey, let's spend the money now, get that vapor barrier in there, and prevent a giant mold problem from happening.
That's exactly right.
Otherwise, they're gonna call a remediation company.
Yep, that's
and
exactly right.
It's gonna cost you a lot of thousands of dollars.
Tens and thousands in a crawl space.
When you could have spent maybe $2,000 or $3,000 on an encapsulation.
Yep, if that. Well, dude, Elliott, thank you so much for coming, man. That was an awesome conversation. I think people are going to really enjoy most of that, and some really, really good tips. I mean, the home maintenance stuff, as you know, people just don't, they're not experts, right? Because they've got a job.
Sure.
They don't have time for that, right? So we're really trying to hit the easy button there. So I think there's a lot of good stuff. But respect what you're doing, man. I always say that, in business, it's rare to find someone who's such high quality and super knowledgeable, but you would also drink a beer with. And you're both of those, man. So I appreciate that.
That means so much to me.
Let's just end it there, brother. Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, let's go have a beer. Right?
Yeah.